the stream is live. Sorry about the late start. We had some problems. We should be good now. And welcome in, everybody. If for anybody new here, my name is Zoomer, and I have a host called Tawney with me today. This is our 4th episode of Turtle Talk Tuesdays.
Hello everybody. Hey, terribly sorry, had some real life dog accident. Had to be a bit late. Hey, welcome. It's been a while, huh?
Oh yeah, 3 weeks. Um, there's really no excuse for that. We were just a bit empty-handed on what to talk about, but
Yeah, I suggested we have a more laid back discussion, just about what's been, what's being discussed on the Discord, what we saw on the patch notes. Um, I thought we could mention Roguerex video, hints of Outland, all that stuff. Uh, yeah, so let's start with the usual introduction, if anyone's new here.
yeah. So again, my name is Zoomer. I'm a rogue who plays for Tabsy and have 100 clicks as well. I've been playing on this server for about 2 years inconsistently.
Yeah. I am Tony. You may know me from a couple guilds. I raided in a few guilds. Currently, I'm raiding in Tapsy, Hard Knocks, and Blackwing Guard. On the latter two, mostly just next Ramus. Um, we've been doing this podcast for a while now, and we hope that this one, although not as fancy as the usual ones, uh, has some more light-hearted chatter, maybe some chat interaction, stuff like that.
Yeah, this episode's gonna be basically kind of short-handed, but we're just gonna talk about some of the stuff we've seen in the patch notes. Mainly, this episode's gonna cover like class changes and applications for like the class balance team and all that.
Oh yeah. Uh, so where to begin? Uh, they announced. I don't. Let's go to the announcement page. They announced, along with the quite a few new pictures from the upcoming patch, that this week, uh, they are going to start. Let me just read this out loud for everyone. We've been reviewing the results of our previous class changes, as well as the removal of world buffs in raids. Soon, we will be opening applications for experienced players from all classes to contribute to the future of class balance on Turtle. More information soon. Wow. That's a...
It's a mouth
It
breather.
feels like a lot, but when I just read it, it kind of still feels like it's still far.
Yeah, it seems far out. I think it's safe to say that both of us are like wanting to join this class balance team as well.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've been trying to. Uh, well, I was I nagged Jamie myself a bit too many times about this whole thing, so I sincerely hope I wasn't causing him any trouble. Uh, yeah. Uh, I for one am really interested in seeing where this leads. Whether this is something like the player cancel that Blizzard implemented on the live servers, or if it's more like, they are actually looking for like people to represent each class or maybe even each spec. Who knows? Who knows? And then again, there are really good players who are not that interested in changing the class. They are just very happy with the way things are right now. So it's definitely going to be quite interesting to see if those people will apply or get selected for these things.
It does sound super interesting. Like it could lead to something really good here, since especially like some classes definitely need like adjustments way more than other classes at the point like right now.
Oh yeah. Do you wanna play the video thing that usually plays?
Oh yeah.
Let's give people some eye candy. Uh, so something that I myself thought a lot about was the removal of world buffs and what it led to. Not just the how to put it, not just the changes in raid duration and like the whole having to, you can actually just log on whenever. You don't need to be online an hour before the raid starts. You don't need to collect ZG heart and Onyxia heads and then tell people that they cannot use them. Removing all that is really nice. Lots of pressure off the officers' shoulders.
Just for the sake
And
of quality of life and balance, I'd say it's been a good change as well.
yeah, it's it's really nice to know that they are paying attention. Uh, the world buffs were removed around January, maybe February.
February, I think. I came back right around when world buffs just disappeared.
Yeah, it was completely out of the blue. It was we didn't have any time to prepare. I remember I missed my final chance at parsing with world buffs because I was sick and I missed one nex in this year, and it was that one. And I was so sad because it was the last raid with world buffs. It was out of the blue completely. But the compensation, albeit a very biased compensation towards physical damage dealers, are the Paladin Blessing and Shaman Totem stacking. This, however, while it is uh, not that far we are not that far behind in uh, DPS like times for bosses, while having gone up usually not that much, like 10-15 seconds on bosses like Patchwork, maybe half a minute on bosses like Patchwork when you stand still, but bosses with movement still about the same ish length. Uh, but is that really, how to put it, is that really a compensation is what I'm asking? Because we do know that there are guilds that are struggling to meet their quota on either shamans or paladins. I myself recently wrote a post about this. Uh, not sure if you can bring it up, but it was basically that around 2 out of the 8 or 6 guilds I mentioned are meeting either the paladin or the shaman quota, and only one of them meets both quotas, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I brought out the post here.
I was not very in depth in the research. I just looked for the most recent raid that has been documented by these guilds, and I looked at some fights to see what players were in the whole raid, what players joined for just a bit and then got replaced, and it's it is as I said. It feels bad to be the people without shaman or paladin buffs. Like, not everyone gets all of these, even you have this few shamans raiding. Um, I myself, I want to say I haven't played a shaman. I think I played a shaman on Turtle until level 30. I have not touched raiding as a shaman nor PvP. To my understanding, shaman is a very, very obnoxious class to play, as you continuously need to drop your totems whenever players are walk out of range of totems. The totem range, even with the talent, is only 30 yards. Uh, yeah. Zimmer, do
There's
you play
also
a shaman?
no, not too much. I played a hardcore shaman, and I have two other 60 shamans from a friend. But the main issue I think for shamans right now is that, like, in order to drop totems, first of all, it's like a super exclusive thing if you have like an enhancement shaman who's like twisting totems, because then only if you have one enhancement shaman, only one group would be benefiting from double totems basically. And also
Yep.
with the fact that like some specs make it a bit like obnoxious to drop totems. As an elemental, you basically lose DPS from having to drop totems every now and then.
Yep. Um, and as a resto shaman, you also lose potential healing, or you have to choose between refreshing a totem or keeping the tank alive. It's very, very meticulous. Um, I do hope that shaman, gets brought up a lot in the discussion hub between the devs, the class and item people. Probably, probably have it on their mind. Probably way too much on like what can they change, how do they even approach this. Um, but it is very important to mention that power fantasy is one thing. People enjoy playing specs that perform well, but people also want the spec to be fun. While something like Warlock can dish out a lot of damage, you are just pressing Shadow Bolt for an entire minute.
That's basically
At
how it
times
goes
Shadow
for
Bolt.
casters, I'd say. You just kind of
Yeah.
press buttons while like standing still.
So yeah, I do hope that you know, I think it's my post ended with a controversial ending. I suggested that they make certain totems raid wide to combat this. Of course, this is a very controversial take as it, in a way, limits design space, but in other ways enables it. So, for instance, something I would love to see for Elemental Shaman would be Sky Fury Totem. Sky Fury Totem I included there is a totem that gives spell crit. And a good way to make it be exclusive for DPS Elemental Shamans is to make the spell crit you give be based on your spell hit. So you can't just have a Restoration Shaman spec Elemental for the totem, as currently we have Restoration Shamans specking Enhancement for Bloodlust for that main tank, which is equally, uh, well, for lack of better word, a bit deranged as a decision-making playstyle that you're making the healer spec DPS talents.
Not too sure on making it based on spellhead. Shamans have kind of a problem with spellhead. If you're going elemental shaman, you won't be getting enhanced terms from enhancement since you need like nature's guidance from resto. But I like the idea. It's just shamans are pretty much like they need a lot of hit from like gear already.
Mm-hmm. It's very rough for our Shaman friends. Of course, as more content gets released, we are awaiting Emerald Dream and Lower Karazhan right now. Um, it's going to be really cool to see the support that these specs will have. I myself have seen Dragunovi post in the Theory Crafting channel the new Shaman totem, the equipable totem that he's making. It's going to give 5% haste to Elemental Shaman after Chain Lightning, or Enhancement Shaman after using Storm Strike. So, while this doesn't address the hit issue, this is the sign that they are aware that, these specialization also exists. They can use items and support.
They are also
It's a long
planning
road.
on adding more progression weapons for melees. So I remember seeing I think it was a dagger Dragonovi posted at the Theocraft channel. It was gonna be like a kind of offhand dagger you could pick up as a warrior or rogue. Just like PWL kind of level.
I've seen a very interesting dagger he posted. It's similar to the Maraudon Princess dagger, but instead of it healing you, it deals damage to you to deal damage to enemies. It's a very weird dagger. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about or
I think it
thinking of.
was like a physical, but that kind of sounds interesting because a paladin wouldn't be able to use daggers, so who would
Yeah.
realistically be using a dagger like that?
Yep.
Maybe warlocks, I don't know.
Yep. I was thinking it would be really interesting for mages that are AoE farming, but they would probably end up just absolutely murdering themselves.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I could see a warlock using it in raids on top of like hellfire, and you can like life or like mana tap and
Oh
all
yeah.
that. But again,
Oh
kind of weird you're making it a dagger when it sounds like a paladin weapon, you know?
yeah. Well, paladins are, I imagine, their own kind of issue. Not on the shaman end, where they are severely unpopular and somewhat underpowered, but on the opposite end, where they are extremely popular and in PvP settings are very strong right now, with, you know, very little counterplay from certain classes. And it is probably being addressed, if I had to guess.
Oh, I would like to say paladins in PvP do kind of feel overloaded with their kit, and their whole playstyle just feels a little bit weird. And so with the thing they have where they can like proc weapon effects like super consistently, it makes up for like some really weird playstyles where you can use like these unique weapons to basically have like zero counterplay. You could be a paladin wearing Serenity just dispelling people left and right. You could
Yeah,
be wearing Skullforge Reaver, Phantom Blade, make rogues like have permanent fairy fire. It's a really weird
Bird
playstyle.
Shaper and just AoE stun, just war stomp every 8 seconds.
Pretty much. I don't know. I kind of disagree with those weapons being able to proc that much, and I think it's a fair like assumption statement. Because I was actually dueling a paladin some time ago, and he was using Skullforge Reaver. And for people who don't know, it's a weapon that drops from Baron Rivendare, and what it does is it's a 1 second ticking dot for like every second, which means there's zero counterplay to it. I could potentially like vanish from him, vanish like a Hodge, sure, but I'll be taken out of stealth immediately, and so that like the way it plays out is it removes like one gameplay asset of a rogue and just makes me feel like I'm playing a warrior with like no HP or armor.
Yep. It is. I think it's really cool that these weapons exist and see some use, because usually these are weapons that no one ever uses. Maybe leveling players use it for a bit and then they immediately replace it with some molten core items. So it is nice to see a use for them, but as you said, if it's so consistent that there's no counterplay, then it's another issue, and it again limits design space.
Yeah. Obviously, zero counterplay mechanics there is not like balanced, and I think anyone can agree on that.
Hmm.
But it's not like poking down on paladins being able to proc weapons. I think it's super cool for raids, but I think they should be doing some adjustments to weapon like these, because against Serenity you could be running around, you could basically just bonk a mage and have like all his shields dispelled every time he puts them up. He won't have mana shield, he won't have ice barrier, he won't have frost armor because you just keep dispelling it.
Yep, exactly. Dispelling is something that's you know currently it's a bit unbalanced right now in PvP, because shamans, of course, Horde has two with shamans and priests, whereas Alliance only has one, and certain gimmicks in the game really rely on you having this really useful buff, and if it does get dispelled, it really feels bad. Of course, I'm talking about the Diamond Flask users, enjoyers, the CP set fans, all CP fan users. They get really sad when they get dispelled. And the
Super
probability of them
controversial
getting
though, but
dispelled is way higher as an alliance player, because as you said, the paladins do have access to the dispelling sword, but not many of them use it, because you do have to craft it. It is an investment.
a bit controversial, but I Sippy said should just like not work in PvP in my opinion, like at all. It should be disabled for Blood Ring first of all, and it should be disabled for every battleground. It's just so fucking overpowered. But yeah, again, touching on paladins for PvP, I think another big complaint is like you can't really resist holy spells. You can't resist them at all. There's like a 1% base resist chance, and that's about it. And the way paladins play
Mhm.
out is you can grab berserking, which is like bugged, if I believe, with paladins because they double, they like get double buffs from it. But the way paladins play out right now is you basically just hodge someone and you can like crit them for like 5-6k with zero counterplay, and you can get like 2-3 autos in before the hodge even goes out. And even if you don't kill them, you can just repentance, get another holy strike, and you're like there's zero counterplay in that regard.
Exactly. It is the only real downside to paladin is the mobility. They do have Hand of Freedom, sorry, Blessing of Freedom on this server, which is, you cannot be slowed, but you can still be immobilized by other effects, and your only counterplay to that is Divine Shield. But unless the Paladin is an engineer or uses the Charge Helmet, they have no way of closing gap on more, quicker classes like Hunters or Mages. The only thing that the paladin can do is run up to you on a mount. If it's already dismounted, then it's a juggernaut. And the usually in video games, when you mention the word juggernaut, take League of Legends for example. It's a very popular enough game. I'm sure some people will get what I'm going for here. A juggernaut in League of Legends is someone like Darius. It's a slow-moving character, but once he's in melee range of you, he will most likely just brute force his way and kill you. And that's the paladin fantasy in Turtle WoW, but it's not exactly the same because, as I said, mounts exist, movement speed, potions exist, engineering boots exist. So many ways to close the gap.
The issue
So
with
the
having
weakness gets eliminated.
sorry, I think the
Go ahead.
issue with having a paladin like I don't know, imagined like that is the fact they're so defensive already. Like before class changes, they were like the best defensive class you could have for PvP because they have so many like defensive tools to use. And I get like cleanse is a really fucking good spell as well. For example, against mages, you basically just run at them and you just spam cleanse, which is
Yeah.
fine. I understand that, but imagining them as juggernauts, I don't personally agree with that. Just because how many defensive capabilities they already have.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not exactly like in the League Juggernaut. It's more like the Turtle WoW Juggernaut. Because the other Juggernaut in Turtle WoW is Enhancement Shaman, which is more like a nuke, kind of, because it also is like a slow moving character. And once he reaches you, if he gets that Wind Fury, you will most likely lose 80% of your health.
Yeah,
But
but the issue with them is they
it's
have
a difference.
even less mobility because they can't even cleanse things. They have no
Yeah,
defensive dispels. If you just root a shaman, he's never gonna reach you. If you frost over
yeah.
him, he's never gonna get to you. A paladin can basically just wait. He can bubble. He can cleanse. He has way more like
Yeah, the
tools
only
to.
thing a shaman can do is frost shock you and throw down a grounding totem. But once those are out, nothing you can do.
Yeah. Plus, they're like reliant on like RNG. Paladins can just like holy strike and guarantee a big hit. Shamans
Hmm.
have to like pray they get the Wind Fury proc.
No, no, it is it's how to put it. There's a big difference between a shaman and a paladin. Both gameplay wise and popularity wise, team wise. The similarities between a paladin and a shaman are that their damage is front loaded, elemental, enhancement, retribution. It's front loaded damage. Front loaded means you do big hits, but you do one or two big hits, and then it slows down a lot.
Yeah.
It's
Same goes for elemental shamans.
yeah, exactly. With what is the elemental 31 talent again?
Elemental mastery. Most people pick
Yeah,
nature swiftness though, which is you can use it for the same thing. It just makes it insta cast.
yeah. It's the point being that these are very front-loaded classes. They are designed around uh PvP usually, or maybe leveling. These are, well, at most, uh, fine in the open world, fine while leveling, but once you reach endgame, it becomes very obvious just how unfinished these classes are.
Oh yeah. They
And there have been many changes. Something I would have loved to see was make how all shamans have ratios. They could have just made all those ratios be baseline for every single shaman. Because as it is right now, they buffed the orc racial, so it's even more incentivizing DPS shamans to go orcs.
oh, it's absolutely nuts
Because you
for
have Blood
PvP.
Fury, you have the wolves, which are now doing damage based on your um, attack power, I think, and spell power. So once again, Blood Fury is just even stronger. So the gap between a Orc enhancement shaman and a Tauren enhancement shaman is just really big now for no real good reason. Whereas the Spirit Link for Tauren shamans is absolutely game breaking. It is insanely strong as an ability. I would almost say it trivializes patchwork. but I wouldn't really exactly say trivialize it. It really changes the game. It allows you to do things that you would be doing with like TBC gear almost,
Yeah.
and it's really cool. It's a cool idea, but it sucks that you're making shamans choose: do you want to be the best tank healer, or do you want to be like 10% more DPS?
I don't even
And you
think
can't have
those
both.
wolves count towards your DPS if you're like talking about logs, to be honest.
No, like overall, not just talking about
Yeah, yeah.
logs, because like in PvP, logs don't matter. It's you killing that guy that matters, and you don't care if the wolves damage is the wolves damage and not yours.
The only problem I have with those spirit wolves is it goes with like any summonable pet. Is I think it's a V-Mango's bug, but you can't distract those as a rogue, and so like if they get onto you, you can't really reset unless you stealth now, which is obviously a nice fix. But so you have Timber Mod defenders. I'm pretty sure like before they fixed this, they could like attack you even though you were in stealth, and you couldn't distract them because they throw lightning bolts. But
Mm.
yeah. Speaking of shaman ratios, trolls are definitely getting trolled. To be honest, like no pun
It's
intended. Hex
it's
is
interesting, right?
it's a really bad ratio to get. It's on a 5 minute cooldown and it's like not even a polymorph.
It's polymorph where the player can control their movement, right? And it still breaks some damage. I'm not sure. I haven't been polymorphed in forever, or like
Yeah,
hexed in forever.
and it's on a 5 minute cooldown. So why would you want to go troll shaman now?
Yeah, like the only reason to go troll shaman is the same reason you want to go orc. It's the racial. You go for the haste thing, and for elemental, it's really good for PvP. But then again, for enhancement, blood fury is really good for PvP, and the wolves are really good for PvP. Well, not really good, but better than nothing. You can send it on a caster, it pushes them back, all that stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
absorbing hits and all that. So once again, like all these spells except for Spirit Link feel very small. They are cool. They fit the thematics because Warcraft 3 Feral Spirit is an orc shaman spell. The orc shaman hero character used that ability. Spirit Link was the Tauren Spirit Walker, which is like a shaman that has like a ghost form thing going on. Their ability. And then Hex was the orc troll witch doctor hero character, which had the Hex ability, where they would be like very slow and they can still control the units, but obviously they can't attack. So all of these really are screaming that the devs really respect Warcraft 3. They really respect the roots of WoW, but sometimes you gotta think bigger.
yeah.
You
And that's
can't
where.
just think of
Oh,
what fits thematically, but also what fits gameplay wise. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I think that's where I think having a class balance team of like actual veterans who may be rated on other servers and like super hardcore players, I think having that would really help in like balancing spells like these in the future.
It's really complicated, right? As many people, as many opinions there are, some people will always want to have the exact same thing. They get mad at the slightest of changes. Those people, I feel like, are mostly filtered by now on Turtle WoW. People understand this is a V plus server. If people want non vanilla plus, they can get it elsewhere. There are a lot of servers that offer pure vanilla experience. You can find them. But if you're playing on Turtle WoW, you're looking for more than vanilla,
Yeah,
right? So why oppose that? Obviously, you don't want Wrath of the Lich King. If you want Wrath of the Lich King, you play Wrath of the Lich King. It's live on, Blizzard right now. You can play that. People don't want that, but people already greatly enjoy things being taken from that era. Things like the Soul Well, the Mage Table putting down citrus. These things are greatly welcomed. No one asks for Solvel to be removed. Not one person I know would like to have it removed. Not one warlock. I know warlocks that are too lazy to get it, but they also don't trade people healthstones. They just tell
yeah,
people to use these, which is still a V plus thing because these aren't a normal thing. So even the people who are indirectly refusing the V plus changes still tell people to use the other V plus changes though. So there is no one who says no to these changes, right?
I'm
Everyone uses them. People may be grumpy about it, but you don't see people, meticulously, out of spite, split their elixir of the mongoose and put it into 5 because that's how it was in my days. No one does that. Everyone enjoys that it stacks to 10. Everyone.
yeah.
it's, these
Al-
changes are nice, and it's. Sorry, go ahead.
Although I think to be fair, tea with sugar is like a vanilla thing. It was like back in the Wintervale event, I'm pretty sure. But it
Was it?
wasn't
I thought
like
it was a turtle thing.
I think it was, but it was like limited, so it's not like unlimited like it is here. I think the same goes for that Wintervale food you could get. But yeah, no, all like most of these changes like people don't complain about are generally like super nice. Like having oranges in raids is so nice compared to like level 60 food, which kind of sucks. Like before oranges, the best food you could get was like the Alterac mana biscuits or the stuff from Lights Hope Chapel, which is
Yeah, the
okay at
Arching
best.
Dawn thing.
Yeah, and that's like 4,000 mana from eating and like 3k HP. I think it's not like super huge, and it still takes a
No,
long ass time.
no, I definitely think that the server changes are in a good direction. All the V plus stuff is really nice. Of course, some are debatable if they are nice, like being on the opposite side of a Holy Paladin Holy Striking you is not nice, but being the Paladin using Holy Strike is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Being the Paladin and having Ashbringer proc for 500 damage feels good as fuck. Sorry for slurring. It sucks on the other side, of course. But yeah, the changes are at usually, I think I can say 99% of the changes are made with good faith, and the outcome is always to add to the server and the game. And for that, Turtle devs have nothing but my respect. There is the 1%, which is like the Winter Spring Echo change, but that one got reverted, so that's nice.
I kind of reverted, yeah. I
Yeah,
think the direction they're
it's
going right now,
partially
they
fixed.
mentioned they want to look into PvP as well, and I'm really glad for that as a PvP player, because I know a
Oh yeah.
lot of people who have quit the server just because of how PvP is. There's this really good
Yep.
shaman named Phoenix. Nobody knows him really except Arky and some others, but he basically stopped playing because as like one of the best shamans, probably the best shaman I've ever seen in PvP, he quit because he feels like he has zero counterplay against paladins. Paladins who he like believes is are like lower skill level than him. He just feels like there's zero counterplay, and he said he always loses to them now. But I think not focusing on PvP, of course. It's not a PvP server, but putting some emphasis on it is really nice. I feel like.
Um, I do, yeah, I do agree that uh, the whole term, getting killed by someone less skilled it's a bit of a slippery slope, right? Because many people can say this, and not everyone can back this claim up. You know, like
Yeah, yeah.
we can also say that the mage polymorphing you, blinking away, and casting pyroblast into presence of mind pyroblast is also very low skill,
Yeah, of course.
but it can also kill you, and that's like mage arcane mage 101, right? So like, are you calling every mage unskilled, or is it fine because it's been the same way since the creation of vanilla? Again, different
PvP
topic.
is a big ass topic, but
It's
yeah.
again, yeah.
I'm
So
just I'm just gonna say for mages specifically, going into fire just means like as soon as Pyroblast is on cooldown, you basically do nothing. You have no utility basically. You have Polymorph and Frost Nova. That's about it. Frost mages offer way more utility, and the reason they're played more is because they're seen as better, and I'd say they are as well.
yep. PvP as a whole, I think a lot of people have been. I know myself. I have been asking for cross faction, Warsong Gulch, and Arati Basin because I believe Alterac Valley is already doomed as it is. I'm sorry to say this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if someone's watching who loves Alterac Valley, but as an Alliance player too, I have to say it's absolutely unfair that I can just jump into the Horde graveyard at the Horde base and capture the towers and the graveyard. It's
Avi has always been
absolutely.
super unbalanced.
I
It's
know
just so
the
Alliance
Horde
favored.
also has a jump, but the Horde jump is way harder and way easier to prevent and defend. So again, this is like the what your friend has mentioned, the skill difference, right? To jump to the Horde base in AV, anyone can do it. I did it on my first try. To make the jump from outside the Alliance base into the Alliance base, very difficult. I have not done it yet.
To
I've
be
seen
fair
very few
though,
players do it consistently.
AV is impossible to balance because it's so
Yes.
Alliance favorite in so many ways, and it doesn't even feel like a battleground on the server. It just feels like 40v40. Not even 40v40 because you can have more than 40 on apparently with the Q bugs, but it just feels like you're playing PvE. You're not PvPing. Like you're just doing objectives. You're ignoring each other. You may be defending if you want some extra honor rep. That's about it. But
Yep.
even like the towers are just so Alliance favorite because as an Alliance rogue, you can solo cap towers or like bunkers in AV. As a rogue or as a Horde rogue, it's really hard. It's like really hard. And even like the way archers are like coded or like how they work is just super Alliance favorite.
So
And even
going
like
back to
what?
the. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
Oh
Listen.
yeah, but I don't know if snowballs are still a thing in AV. Are they?
They actually removed the snowballs, knocking people back thing
Oh
in
yeah,
AV.
that's nice because in like on in the Alliance space you could just knock people off the bridge. That was like the main source of defense. Yeah, that was about what I had to say for that.
No, I just wanted to because before we forget, I wanted to mention the cross faction, right? That's what I want to talk about here because I think that's like the most anticipated change for many people, right? Because many people would like to see what is it like when uh, you can't know what side you're gonna be playing on. You can't expect the Horde to win every Warsong Gulch because they have Shape playing or Arky playing or the Alliance building because Gutlak is playing or Med is playing. These things wouldn't exist if these battlegrounds were cross faction because it would be random every game.
I think it
And
removed the pre-made aspect of like queuing battlegrounds as well. I'm not sure how I feel about that entirely, but I get the arguments behind wanting to get cross faction for battlegrounds like Warsong.
I think with the cross faction Warsong Gulch and the Roti Basin, they could definitely introduce a you know pre-made option with limitations because I sometimes pre-made we sometimes pre-made together in Alliance and it's fun. It's really fun, but it's undeniably overwhelming. Every pre-made we do, we win without contest. I think we lost one game in a Roti Basin, and that was against some really good players and Shape included. Uh, so 99% of my pre-mates game, I've won. And what it led to was that the Horde just stopped queuing up.
Yeah, that's always how it goes. The funny thing is, like, when Horde are doing pre-mates, Alliance never stop queuing. I don't know what's going on with the
Yes.
meta there.
Because the Alliance players, they just want to play. They don't care if they lose, but the Horde players, they want to win.
I guess it is fair to state that most Horde players who play Horde want and PvP are doing it for the PvP. The Alliance players who PvP are more in it for the PvE rewards.
Exactly.
It
I
makes
have a
sense with the
purple.
ratios as well.
Yeah. So what do you think? In my mind, I imagine that there would be either the same queue or an alternative queue for pre-mates, where there would be a group limitation. I imagine 5 for Warsong or Roti Basin. So you would still have half of the group be random, right?
Yeah. It kind of depends. I think being able to actually queue pre-made versus pre-made could be super fun, actually.
Yeah, that's also the option there, right? You could coordinate with people, with guildmates, you know, and the fact that you guarantee to play against premates means that you're knowing the risks on both ends. You gotta know who you're playing against. And you gotta accept maybe they're better, maybe you're gonna lose. But maybe you're gonna have a really close game. It's going to be really fun.
It could set up for like more PvP tournaments as well, which would be like
Yeah.
super exciting.
I personally took part in Macro Chelly's Christmas PvP tournament that happened in December. I got second place with Green Bottle, and it was one of the most fun experiences I had on this game, on this server. You know, just having people I know I would be playing against, knowing what to expect, you know, like outplaying people I raid with, all this stuff. It was fun. And I don't see why we can't have this, with without having to have players organize it.
It would definitely be something that's possible. I don't know if you're here before they removed the arena TPs, but back in the day, like every time arena chest spawns, or like a lot of the times, we used to be like 20, 25, 60 players just battling it out. We weren't even going for the chest, we were just trying to kill each other. We were like killing everybody who was trying to loot the chest. It was super fun. There's like screenshots of it where there's like 200, 300 corpses after we're done. It always
I
ends when someone
remember the
picks the chest.
portals, but I haven't really played seriously during that time.
Ah, okay. Well, it was super fun back then. It was so fun. You had like raid bosses like Bedlam, like an element. He was an elemental shaman. You always wanted to kill him. I never did. I think. But it was back
Oh,
around when you could grief the arena as well. You had mages like outside the ring, just like AoEing inside the ring.
oh. See, these things are. I know that they removed that teleport because they wanted to add more transportation to the world. Same. I actually remember when I started playing, there was a quest that gave you a reusable Stormwind or Orgrimmar teleport that cost like 10 silver per use,
Oh yeah, the
and
wormhole.
that stopped working. Do you remember that item?
Yeah, dude, that the original wormhole was sick.
Yeah, and I understand again why they removed it because it's the same argument as flying mounts. It kind of reduces the open world. Even while traveling, you can find people and talk to people, and more and more teleports like that just remove all that. It's not fun.
It did unintentionally make engineering like even better of a spec to have than it already was though, but yeah.
Yep.
Because it feels so trivial for a lot of classes and specs, and I think that should be looked into as well if you really want to like balance everything, PvP, PvE, rating, all that.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything else about the PvP that's worth mentioning?
Not really. It's such a huge topic. I think could cover like an entire episode for itself.
Yeah, the rogue one somewhat went in that direction, but then again, it's a big topic. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's end this topic with name three things, bullet points that you want to see in the next major PvP update.
Uh, that's a good question actually.
Okay, let's do one. Okay, so we both have time to think. I can start. I want to see damage over time spells, especially shadow ones. Thinking of agony and shadow over pain here, to either disappear after uh, you walked away a certain distance from the player, or to just deal less damage in PvP. That's my pet peeve, okay? Because I dislike that I can walk up in Warsong. Uh, Shadow Priest can just get a tiny bit close enough. He Shadow Word pains me and runs away, and I lose half my health over 30 seconds.
I mean, that's kind of part of how warlocks are like supposed to play out. In perfect pre-made situations, a warlock's job is to just hover around mid, dot everyone, and be a fucking nuisance. It, you could say the same for like hunters being able to Viper Sting and run away, right?
Yeah, I mean, I also dislike that, right? I play Paladin, I just dispel myself, but yeah, as a mage, it's very obnoxious.
Yeah. I don't
So
know.
yeah,
Me
that's
personally, I
that's
would
my
just, I don't know, just having some rogue changes. It's not like PvP related entirely, but having some rogue changes that actually makes me feel like I can contribute more than just like defending.
So like some new cooldown or some different
Oh,
game
definitely not near
mechanic.
cooldowns. We're already too cooldown reliant. That's the rogue issue for PvP. As soon as you burn 2 cooldowns, you're like 20%, 30% weaker than you were before. Because you need all your cooldowns to be able to play the game.
So maybe self CP or just DPC combo points, stuff like that.
Combo points definitely would help a lot. It would help so much actually. Because if you made self-apply combo points, you could, let's say you could kidney shot someone, cheap shot someone, and then you can like tab kick someone else and like tab
Yep.
gouge someone else. It'd be super nice. And then you have 4 combo points, use it on a kidney for the
Oh
flag
yeah,
carry.
that would be so cool. And it feels like it's not even that big of a deal, because on a server with so many people in tier 3, rogues just can't really burst people down anymore. Or if you can burst someone down, it's gonna be the undergeared guy who's not gonna do much anyway.
A rogue can only burst cloth wearers that don't have like
Yeah.
armors. Like a priest is still super tanky. You're not gonna kill them. The only real like the only
Mage.
real mage is like the only class you can effectively like burst down. But it still requires you to play like this rat kind of style, or you just wait for like his ice barrier to
Yeah.
go down and stand stealth for 5 minutes.
No, mana barrier, no ice barrier. Just
Exactly,
wait it
yeah.
out.
I think a
And
proposal I would have for self-applied combo points is you make kick apply combo point, you make gouge not apply combo point anymore, and you make blind obviously not apply combo point. It would make it so much nicer. Because gouge doesn't need to apply combo point. It never did. You use it as a peeling tool. You never needed the combo
well,
point.
people like to couch kite, elites and stuff in the open world while leveling.
You don't need combo points for that though.
Well, what I don't know about you. It's just what I did is like build up the gouge, like gouge, walk away, throw, gouge, and once I'm at 5 combo points, I get a big kidney off, and I actually DPS for a bit, and then I run away.
That mechanic itself is already like you. I don't know. Like if you
Very
want to
niche, very
kite it,
niche, right? Like
if you want to
I would
kite
be
in the,
okay with giving this up. What I'm saying is I would be okay with giving up on this.
I mean, you can
So
do
we
the
get
same
what
with
you're
crippling
saying.
poison, so it's not like you lose that
Yeah.
entire mechanic. So I don't know. I have a
So
lot
yeah.
of adjustments, but I'm gonna save those until like applications for the balance team open. I think I wrote like 8,000 words or something about things.
My number 2 point. I guess we kind of deviated from PvP, but I'll try to keep it PvP oriented. My number 2 would be. Hmm, I think I'm gonna stick with the cross faction war song and the Roti Basin. I just think those would be really nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely rogue biased, but for Arathi Basin specifically, rogues don't really feel like they have a like special role because the one role they're good at defending, hunters are better at, paladins are better at,
What
mages are
if?
better at than.
What if you got classic distract, where like you don't force stop the players, so you could defend LM and you could just use the classic distract and you would just make people walk off LM. You would just make them fall down.
I would love that, but again, like distract is already so useless. You don't. There's no like room for using it in PvP. The only thing I could think of is like people who are like AFK healing someone and like distracting. They're out of combat. You can distract them the other way, or like things that require like looking
Oh, you
at
don't
a
need to look
specific.
at people to heal them, right?
But maybe fireball. You could distract a mage who's out of combat.
Yeah, like
That's
that's
the only use you have, and he has to be out of combat. So, like you never use it. There's an issue with Feint as well. I made some bug reports, but it doesn't look like it's gonna get fixed. So Feint in Classic and other private servers has a chance to proc like weapon effects and poisons, and so you could use Feint to like force or fish for specific procs. You can't do that here, like at all. It doesn't proc poisons. It doesn't proc what's it called, weapon effects. You never use it in raids. You don't use it at all.
Mm.
But
So for your second point, would that be it for PvP for rogues?
Feign and distract, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a lot about it in the rogue chat and Turtle Discord as well. A lot of people are like want to see feign and distract like somehow changed or adjusted. Actually, just having like distract work in combat would be like nice. To be honest, it's not game changing or like game breaking. It's just like something funny you can do with actual like benefits sometimes.
For the third point, I think I'll go with something very simple. I would like every um, every war song in the Roti Basin to start the game with a orange table on both factions spawn, and I would like it if they added a um, like PvP specific Winter Spring tea that stacks to like 20, and you can only use it inside Arati Basin and Warsong Gulch. Because hear me out, I know that tea is really obnoxious in PvP for people who can't be bothered to farm it. And I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people who can't be bothered to make inventory space. Because as a warrior, I have very little inventory space. My inventory, my bank are full with item sets. I cannot have more than at best 10 item slots taken up by T. And that's only 30 uses. I go through that in 2 weeks. So if they made a T that you could buy and it would have 20 stacks and you could only use it inside battlegrounds, I would love that. Because then I wouldn't have to keep going to Winter Spring just so I can PvP.
You could just add it to the PvP vendors as well, the rank 6
Yes.
vendors inside the halls. Because
Yeah,
there's healing potions already, and there's bandle standards, there's bandages.
Yeah, so I don't see why can't T be added to that list. Because at the moment you have Warlock Hellstones, right? And like
Yeah.
this again, right? Warsong Gulch, 10 versus 10. So the team that has one Warlock and one Mage just starts off with a massive advantage because they have, oranges and they have Soulwell.
Oranges do negate a lot of like the dodge stuff you mentioned, because most
Yes.
most of the time just eating oranges will like heal you more than the dodge tick for.
And the way it is right now is if you PvP, everyone knows this, everyone listening in right now is guilty of this. If you are about to PvP, you go to Stormwind and you ask for an orange table because you know you're not gonna get one inside the battleground.
Oh yeah.
So you just go in with 80 on you, ready to be used.
I think for my third point for PvP, this is gonna sound super controversial, but I want Sippy set disabled. I want consumables removed. You can have healing potions and teas. That's fine. But I don't want to like have this fab meta and like lip meta, all that. Like I use it myself, but it will make class or like it will make it a lot. Yeah.
So let's talk about this, right? So what would be usable? I imagine, as you said, tea, health potion, orange. Would orange be usable?
Yeah, orange isn't like a consumable. You can still use mana pots, you can use health potions, you can use tea. That would be like what I would say.
Bandage?
Yeah, bandages doesn't count. Like bandage should always be like.
So these four you can use, and what else is there, right? So like no free action potion, no
flasks, no Zanzas, no world buffs.
No Zanza, world buffs. No limited invulnerability potion.
Yeah, off with that. Off with labs, off with the fabs, off with the. I mean, nades are fine. That's like.
What about like greater nature, shadow, holy, all that?
I think those could be fine, especially seeing as they probably won't be like trying to code in holy resistances. Just, I guess that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so, because these are like, you don't like these because this is like a gold sync, right?
Well, it's a class balance thing as well, because
Also that, yeah.
a warrior with a fab and you don't have like a dispel on your team, he's just gonna steamroll you. If he has rocket boots and a fab, it's over.
Um, okay, so other than that, I don't want to be like a gotcha moment here, okay? So like, no consumables here, right? What about engineering tools?
Engineering should definitely be nerfed, I feel like. Or to be honest, just make grenades available for everyone. It doesn't have to be engineering specific. It could be specific for engineers to craft, but having everyone be able to use it would be nice. And I have the same feeling for reflectors as well. And just
Reflectors, I was
adding
gonna bring those up, yeah.
and adding more reflectors for sure. Adding nature, arcane, and holy reflectors.
Oh, if you added nature reflectors, everyone would stop playing shaman, man.
I mean, even if you add a holy reflector, would people stop playing that? I think you can dispel the nature reflector, by the way.
Well, it's not even in the
Or,
game, but
I mean, if it was, I think you can dispel other reflectors.
isn't well purge is a nature spell, right? So it would just get reflected on the shaman, and he would dispel himself.
Is it a nature spell? I actually don't
Yes.
know. Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting then. But yeah, making nades available for everyone and making reflectors available for everyone. Making consumables like health pod, mana pod, tea, and protection pods like being the only like consumables you can use on your main and secondary potion cooldowns.
Mm.
Because I don't know, just feels so trivial. If I don't fap when I play on my rogue in Warsong, I don't really do a lot. And sure, you can dispel it, but having to dispel it gives me like a small window. It gives me like one global to play around it.
I see what you mean. Um, I think that's about wraps it up for PvP. Let's go for server direction. Um, kind of mentioned it at the start, and before too, I guess. Mm, are you one of the people who say that if the game gets too many changes that are from like TBC or Wrath of the Lich King, you would rather not play? Or do you understand like they can be just quality of life changes and not like major changes?
I'd understand that it be more like quality of life changes as long as it's not like specific talent, say like exploding shot. If you add that, I would definitely be a bit biased because I wouldn't feel like
Explosive
that
shot?
fit. Yeah,
Oh yeah. The wasn't that Wrath of the Lich King?
yeah, that was Wrath.
Yeah.
Like as long as it's like realistic stuff from TBC and Wrath, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
You know, I played around on Epoch when the beta was out, the latest beta, and I really liked the DBC talents. I found them to be refreshing after playing on Turtle, and I also saw their flaws as well. Like I saw how, you know, Fairy Fire and improved Fairy Fire would give everyone hitting the boss 4% hit.
Yeah,
And that
the
stuff
main
is
thing with TBC
ridiculous.
was like making every spec have some sort of raid wide buff.
Yeah. So you would have a situation where you want one of everything, right?
Yeah.
Or two of everything, because you have times where the one guy can't make it.
Well, they
I
were
think
made.
that's
They made raids like 20-man locked, so it wasn't like
yeah.
you could really. But yeah, there's
Also
definitely.
something.
Oh, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say that TBC, from my understanding, and I think most people agree on this, is it's the polar opposite of Classic, where it was very anti-melee. Certain expansions have a history for being more caster or more melee oriented. Vanilla WoW, very famously, very melee oriented. Only exception being AK-40, really.
Yeah, IQ is a good example of something that isn't melee favored, just because of how the boss mechanics work there.
And similarly, TBC has many of these as well.
Yeah.
And, of course, by the end, Warriors were amongst the top DPS, but throughout the expansion's life cycle, I'm not an expert on TBC. I'll just say I think it was Warlock mostly.
Yeah, by
and
the end of the
just
last
start
phase, I
Arcane
think it was
Mage.
Warlocks. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like Sunrise
hunters
was
were
like
so strong
Egyptian.
too, but they were just like the new
Uh huh.
warriors. They were just overloaded, like
Yes,
overtuned.
like Steady Shot was like the big thing for hunters there.
They had a one button
Um,
macro, yeah.
yeah, and Arcane Mage was really good at the start. And yeah, like Warrior, from my understanding, with Warglaives, so quite a requirement. With Warglaives, you were really good, and the Rogues were absolutely useless. The Rogues were all about PvP, from my understanding.
Oh, rogues are good with warglaves.
Yeah, yeah, same criteria, right? Once you have Warglaives, you can be a good and useful melee. It's like Vanilla WoW. Once you have Thunder Fury, you can be a good and useful tank.
But yeah, at
Oh,
least
it's
like
not like
rogues are so fun in TBC. As a rogue main, I fucking love TBC rogues, man. Just shadow
yeah.
step and all the stuff you get, so nice.
It is important to mention that I'm not asking for this. I'm not asking for TBC talents on Turtle WoW. I would just like to ask for uh, more brave talent changes, I suppose. You know, stuff like, well, this is a TBC thing, but stuff like kind of altered um, elemental gear oriented Sky Fury totem. And you put it at the end of elemental tree, you make it so that only um, someone with elemental gear can make use of this totem, tying it to spell hit, tying it to spell crit, whatever. Uh, these changes, like they can't be like straight up copy pastas from TBC or RAT. They shouldn't be, I should say. But we really don't want to have things like, you know, uh, vigor be a 31 talent.
Even the premeditation is like really bad. No one uses it.
Shield slam. Uh, what else is there?
There's the 31 proton. It
The
looks pretty useless as well, in my
shield
eyes.
slam.
Is that called
Well,
shield
shield
slam?
slam just suffers from being lower threat than bloodthirst while offering no mitigation.
Oh, I was talking the holy prot, 31 point.
Oh, Avenger. Oh, yeah, that's a joke. It works in future expansions where cheat death is a mechanic that tanks are equipped with, and tanks are expected to be constantly hovering around 50% health. But if you're raiding in vanilla, or if you're tanking in vanilla, I should say, or mostly healing, like if you're not a DPS in a vanilla raid, you know how tank healing works is that the tank is going to be 100% HP for about 70% of the fight, and then he will have a split second where he jumps down. But there are 10 healers every raid that are eager, very eager, to snipe that melee swing from the boss. You will have the best healers in the game. They have memorized or have an add-on tracking the boss's auto attack swings, and these people will match their heals with the boss swings. So it's not about staying alive as a tank. It's about holding threat as a tank and not getting one shot. And any damage you take is immediately healed up. So a talent like Holy Avenger or Argent Defender, sorry, I think it's called Argent Defender, um, where you take less damage on low HP, it's it's just so useless. Maybe it's nice for AoE farming. I
A
don't know.
holy champion for holy priest is also like really useless. The stats you gain from it are like
Oh yeah, it's
nothing. Oh shit.
well, I would say the budget fear ward is a nice touch, but they were very conservative with it.
Just
I
make
heard somewhere that because there is a revive champion spell that's meant to be inspired by the one that Whitemane uses in Scarlet Monastery, and it was meant to be a battle res, but I think they like chickened out of that. I don't know, because as it is right now, it's just slightly more HP to the res. Like, what? What was the point? Why would I want that?
the thing I'd love to see for priests. So fear ward is obviously a racial. I think giving making fear ward baseline and just adding a new racial to dwarves would be like a good way to go about that.
Hmm.
Because the
You
other
know,
racials are like meh. You know, you have the human racial, which is like a big heal, and you
Oh
have the night elf
no,
racial, which
the
is just
high elf
like,
racial is way too good. If you made Fear Ward baseline, everyone would be a high elf. Every person would be a high elf
wait,
or
what's the high
undead.
elf? What's the high
The high
elf
elf
racial?
racial is like Bloodlust.
Oh, okay.
You
Well,
don't.
then just
Oh
change like the bad ratios, I'd say then.
well, it's actually funny you didn't know that. I had a couple raids where Fizzler would be like whispering me when he would give it to me.
Oh, like accent punker and AQ.
So yeah, I think Fear Ward being baseline can be a. It's a similar to this discussion to should totems be raid wide, right? It would solve issues, but it would also create controversial things because like you remove the specialness, and people who are the special, who are the source of this special thing, you know, people who totem twist, people who roll a dwarf and put off with the god awful ugly looks of a dwarf priest, they would feel bad because you took away that special thing that they sacrificed so much for. But everyone else would be happy. So it's rough.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know, for rogue stuff, I remember last year they promised us this like filler spell, which was called surprise attacks. It's like a 10-second cooldown, undodgeable attack that just gives you a combo point for for like way less energy.
So it's
For
like overpower.
no, 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 it's just like it's not dodgeable, but it's on a 10-second cooldown, and you can just use it every 10 seconds.
That's like overpower.
No, no, because it doesn't
Except
require
without
anything. Yeah,
requiring
yeah,
the requirement. Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it's like overpower without the requirement. Like cheap, good, but on a cooldown. And in
but
this
yeah,
case, okay,
yeah.
okay, I
We
see.
were promised that, but it never came out officially, and I'm really bummed out about that because rogues are like one of the classes that presses the least buttons in raids. The only
Yep.
realistic button you have to press is like Sinister Strike and Slice and Dice. Eviscerate is literally just a filler spell, and it does like 40
Or
DPS
you're
if you do
playing
your optimal
backstab
rotation.
and you're just only playing slice and dice and not even eviscerate.
Yeah, if you're a dagger rogue, you just press two buttons. With surprise
One,
attacks, you could do like,
one, two, and that's it. That's regular rogue.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
Oh,
that's why I think the way to go about rogues is not like buffing them. Making the other trees better than combat is a good approach, but I think also having more filler spells would be super nice.
you know,
Just
I
having more
feel the
buttons to
same way
press.
about mage. I feel the exact same way. It's why I stopped playing mage partially. Half of it was the fact that I had like more buttons for AoE than single target,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that to
just
me is just silly.
fireballs and scorch, ignite.
You know, and it's like the AoE rotation is cool because you trinket swap, you flame strike into spamming arcane. Sorry, flame strike into blast wave, which you will pull threat, so you can pre-lip, you can time your lips around trash bags. Like limited invulnerability potion is a mage's version of mighty rage potion, and you can play around with that so much.
Yeah,
But not everyone did that, and because of the nature of mage, it is without the risk of offending mages listening. Uh, Mage is a beginner class. You play mage because it's cool, it looks cool, and you get to raids and you realize you have two buttons, Frostbolt and Decurse, and that's your life. And then you get to AQ40 and you get Fireball instead of Frostbolt. And then you have, Scorch, and for some unknown to me reason, some of these mages don't even press Scorch. It's like your third button, and you're not even pressing it.
yeah, that's like a sunder. If you don't do that, it's just like,
Imagine Fury, but you only have Heroic Strike and Thunder Armor, and you don't press Thunder Armor.
oh my.
Anyway, like maybe the maybe so like here's my hope for Mage. Okay, as of right now, I hope they leave two Mage specs the way it is. Make it be absolutely brain dead. Make it be the easiest thing in the game. Just leave it as it is. But take one of these specs, any of them. It can be Frost, it can be Arcane, it can be Fire. Just take one of them and make it be similar complexity to Hunter or to Fury Warrior. Just make it hard. Just make it be something that if I play it to perfection, I can be the top DPS. But if I make one mistake, I'm middle of the pack. That's what I want from classes. Just the skill ceiling to exist.
I
Because as
think
it
you
is
could
right
say the
now,
same for
Mage doesn't have
rogues.
that.
Yeah. I think you could say the same for rogues because they're like the gateway drug to playing warrior. And they're
Yes.
so easy to play. You don't even need a min max because when you min max, you can look at my logs compared to like people who don't really min max and just play casually with like the same gear level. The DPS isn't that much different. I'm gaining like
Yeah.
7-8% more damage overall than them. That's the only part I can min max really.
You know, um, it might be weird, but like I recently started raiding on my rogue in Next Ramus, and I'm surprised at how successful I am with my gear level. I have two offhand daggers. Um, it's when I say offhand, I mean two really quick daggers, so it's not an optimal setup. Um, I am uh, very starved on trinkets. I'm using Earth Strike and the budget KT trinket, and I am still doing damage. Like I just and it's really relaxing. Like I just press backstab, I just press slice and dice, and if I have, I never have high threat because rogues initially do less threat. Mm. But if I ever have high threat, I just vanish or I just evasion.
The thing is with
Warriors don't
rogues
have
is
this.
like they don't scale as hard. They peak during like
Yeah,
MC and BWL because that's where they're super strong and warriors aren't. As soon as you get like AQ tier gear, a bit better than BWL even, like you don't scale super hard. You don't scale at all almost. So
it's still nice because, as you said, it's a gateway to warrior, and I know rogues hate to hear this, but rogues are necessary for progression because rogues are going to be the first DPS that soaks tier 3 efficiently,
yeah.
other than Hunter. Because, like, Hunter will take the healer set, and then rogues will take the warrior set.
So now that you
The
say that,
smart builds, right?
the
Because, like,
biggest upgrade
some.
you can get. Oh, sorry. Well, the biggest upgrade you can get as a rogue is just getting 4-piece tier 3. As soon as you have
Yeah,
4-piece tier 3, you're just set. You don't
exactly.
need anything realistically. You're just set for life almost.
And, how to put this? It's easy, right? Because these are almost guaranteed. These drop 33% of the time. Uh, and people don't like to hear this, but progression is about, people coming prepared, people knowing what to expect, and about guilds distributing items smartly. I've seen very ambitious people, extremely ambitious people, start Next Ramus with the mindset that they're going to be gearing tanks for Four Horsemen. And it is nice to be ambitious, but there is no realistic way you're reaching Four Horsemen on Nex under a month. So,
Most
like,
likely not.
even if you're like gearing people up in anticipation, you're denying your rogues the biggest upgrade of their class until Gressel. So, say you're gearing up your rogues, right? They will make the raid faster because rogues are really good on trash. Blade Flurry, while being a long cooldown, is the best AoE spell in the game for two target mobs that are going to live a while.
Yeah.
Like Cleave is nice, but the warriors run out of rage unless it's a boss fight with all the consumes going and cooldowns going,
And
and
Blade
the
Flare
on
has
target
like
has a 0
20%
armor.
attack speed built into it.
Yes, yes, and uh, it's all your attacks and your spells. It's huge. And because of that, you really want to get your rogues geared, in my opinion. You want all rogues to have 4 set before the warriors have their 4 set, in my opinion. I
And
mean,
like,
you
yeah.
can, especially right now, because rogues are the tanks for patchwork. Rogues are the tanks for Vesuvius in progression guilds. So you don't need to you don't need to gear your tanks realistically until 4 horsemen. And even then you just want the hit chance for taunt. And you can substitute that with the reel from ZG. So we are really getting to the point where like it's ambitious and it's like, you know, very like adamant to say, oh, we're just giving tier 3 to warriors first. The warriors won't even use it. Half of them are DPS. And there are superior mitigation options from AK-40 than half of the tier 3 pieces. Because let's face it, the tier 3 warrior items are not that good. They really aren't. They lack agility, which is a big mitigation. Every point of agility is 2 armor and some percent dodge. And
And
the tier
crit for
3
threat,
pieces are, yeah, also threat, and it's also mitigation. Whereas the tier 3 pieces are mostly defense, and many of them have block, and we all know that warriors don't really use shields. Uh, so yeah, in my opinion, like this whole discussion started with like rogues, and like the point of rogues is that you bring them for progression because they are the ones who you will give very little to, and they will give back the most. You know, it's like an investment. You invest almost nothing, and the rogue gives back a fortune. But in return, buy farm the rogue. The rogue's gonna be, you know, not that good. Same for mage. It's the same thing with mage. You give a mage some crit, some hit chance, and 2 pieces of tier 3, and they're going to be really good until farm, that is, and then the warriors and the warlocks and the hunters take over.
yeah. The one thing I am
On
a bit jealous of is like hunters were kind of in the same shoes as rogues in terms of like their place in raids, but now with True Shot is like they scale harder than rogues now. Back then, like
Yep.
before class changes, it was like rogues and hunters are really fucking good for progression. They're really good doing MC and Blackwing Lair, but as soon as you reach Nax, they kind of fall off, and that's not like the way it is anymore. But that's obviously just bias since I play rogue. But yeah, no, the thing is, like, again, a rogue with, like, even just, like, full tier 2 can do super well in Nax. He doesn't, like, you don't realistically need tier 3, but having the tier 3 energy proc is just gonna make your rotation
It's nice.
so much
I
smoother.
like it, yeah. Yep. I really like I have a 6 set on my rogue from Next Ramis so far, and it's really nice. It is really nice.
Yeah, the 8 piece kind of sucks though, but the 4
Yeah.
piece in general, just like, because most of the time your rotation before 4 piece tier 3, it's super RNG dependent. If you don't proc your Ruthlessness or Relentless Strikes proc during your opening rotation, you won't get like a perfect slice and dice. But basically with tier 3, you just get the rotation almost every time.
You know, something that got me thinking based on this discussion, is there a single good tier 3 8 set in the game for PvE?
Oh,
Because I don't think there
question.
is.
There's the Hunter one,
I
which is alright, reduces mana
Well,
cost,
8
but
set
with
is
True
just
Shot.
some mana. It's not really good, right? Like you want the 6 set for Hunter, to my
And the
understanding.
Rogue one is just a scam, to be honest. It's a
The Rogue one is
5%.
a scam.
It's
It's
a
a scam.
5%. It's a 5% proc chance per combo point. So you're almost you're gonna crit more naturally than you are by
Yeah,
proccing
like
it and critting.
it's such a scam. So like, Mage one is obviously not it. Mage one is just you get one spell without threat, but we all know that Mage's threat is Ignite, not Fireball. It's the Ignite that does threat.
Yeah,
Warlock is, I think, similar. It's also like some threat drop. Shaman one is flat out awful. Lightning Shield gives mana regen. We have Water Shield. Paladin Cleanse heals. It's good for PvP. Absolutely
it's
useless for
it's
PvE.
so fucking good for PvP. I think it's the best 8 set for tier 3. It's so fucking good, dude.
It is, and it's only for PvP. That's awesome. And like, the 6 set is same as the Shaman 6 set, which is the random chance to empower people, but it's like only good if you're a pure DPS. So like if you're a Warlock, Hunter, Rogue, Mage. For split for warriors, it's armor, so it's useless. um, what else is there? Priest is priest. Good.
Priest is like mana regen. It gives you like it has a
Oh
chance
yeah,
to give you a
epiphany.
mana regen.
Yeah. I think druid and priest might be the only decent ones. Let me check
The
it.
shaman one is nice too. Whenever you have a shield up, you just have passive mana regen.
Yeah, but you have water shield, so why do you need it?
Does it not work with water shield?
It says lightning shields, but also grants 15 mana per 5 sec while
Oh,
active.
they should definitely rework that. Make every shield give you the 15 MP5. It just makes sense.
And also, you want to use the combination of tier 2 and tier 2.5 as a resto shaman, right?
You still want to do that? Oh,
It's insane because you get from the tier 2, you get what do you get?
it's
Let's
the
find it.
chain heal thing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, your chain heal is increased after the first target, so the other targets are increased by 30%, and then the other set is other set is this one minus 0.4 seconds to the casting time of your chain heal.
Oh
Absolutely
yeah,
disgusting. This combination is nuts. It makes you a chain heal bot, but holy fuck, it makes you a really good raid healer.
but
So yeah,
talking about the
I
druid tier 3, dude, the 4-piece. Wait, no, the 6-piece. Wait, was it? Oh, the 2-piece tier 3 is so fucking good, dude. I love it. For rogues, it's so nice. Warriors, it's like if you're full biz, you're not really gonna see the extra rage. But the fucking
oh yeah.
energy, dude. The energy it takes from it, dude. I wish druids could like keep 100% rejuve uptime on rogues. Is there? There's not really like any others like cool tier 3 set pieces. I think.
No, not really. So really just priest and druid.
I guess there's the 6-piece hunter bonus, which is it makes you like you go from having to use mana pots and T to only using those in like fights that are longer than like 5 minutes. So you only use mana
Yeah.
pots for KT with 6-piece tier 3 as a hunter.
Yeah, well, I actually had no idea that all these tier 3 8 set bonuses were. Yeah, like Warrior, actually. Warrior is only really good on Patchwork because you get the cheat that thing that increases healing taken by 160. Which may sound small, but you have to consider that's all healing you take.
Yeah, that does look pretty alright.
So yeah, what other topic we have left? New raids, will they change the meta? So new raids are going to be Emerald Dream. That's a one boss raid with a mini boss, and it's going to be Lower Karazhan, which is a 10-man Molten Core Blackwing Lair level raid.
I think for Emerald Dream, depending on how the items look, because the Dragonovi mentioned a secret hard mode where if you don't kill the mini boss and go straight to the boss, he drops like higher level stuff.
Yeah, if I think it was if you kill the boss before you kill the mini boss, the mini boss will drop items or something like that.
It's like if you start the main boss, you also aggro the mini
Yeah,
boss
it
and you have to
pulls
kill
the
both.
mini boss. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to kill the boss before the mini boss. Something like that.
It was
Yeah.
something like you'd get item level 71 item or
So
something.
it's like, yeah, it's like the that Rat of the Lich King raid with the many small drakes, and if you kill the boss with all of them up, he drops a mount.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the idea is cool. Idea is by itself really cool. Um, I'm sure most people will opt to do this. I don't see why anyone wouldn't want to have more items. Uh, yeah, I don't really know if this will change the meta at all. Really, I'm curious how 10-man raids will be formed for Emerald for Lower Karazhan. I imagine people will try to have one of each class.
Think so? I don't know. Maybe just like stack warriors.
Well, I think it's more about the like distribution, right? So like if there's one of everything, then everyone can use the items that drop, right? Because I'm actually curious, but I imagine it's going to use the same item drop rate formula as like Molten Core and whatnot, or ZG, where like
Oh yeah.
bosses drop. Well, ZG is unique. Let's not use ZG. Fuck. Let's use just Molten Core. So like bosses drop 2 items. So I imagine it's gonna be like that, because AQ20 and ZG are both like tied to a faction. So they drop these tier pieces that like substitute the second item that would drop in Molten Core. But I don't think there's going to be a faction for Lower Karazhan. Unless it's gonna be Dalaran, in which case it's gonna be really cool.
Yeah. Well, I think the short answer is if it's gonna be meta defining. I think the short answer is probably no. But some of the items from say Emerald Dream hard mode could be. It could like define new biss for some specs for sure. Maybe. It depends. We haven't gotten any teasers for how the items are gonna look.
I
But
haven't thought of this before, but if they do use Dalaran as a faction for like Lower Karazhan, and they make it drop like tier items, you would obviously turn them into to Dalaran, the faction. Or there are 2 ways to handle it, right? Either the items drop as standalone, and then you have you know 8 new tier sets that randomly drop, the Blackwing Lair way, where like in Blackwing Lair, you have to wait 2 years for your tier 2 rogue shoulders to drop. Or it's gonna be like the AQ40 next Rammus way, where you get the tokens and you turn in the tokens with some other items to get your tier set.
yeah.
But this is assuming there will be a tier set. I don't know. People have been asking for alternatives to tier 1. This could be it. This could 100% be it. But
Speaking
it
of
depends on how
alternatives to
long the
tier
feud is.
pieces, I think maybe just like reworking tier sets or like making different kinds of tier sets, and you can pick if you want. Say warrior tier 3, you can pick maybe a DPS or tank set.
Mm.
I'm not too sure about that though, because like if you gave warriors rogues equivalent gear stats or like stats for their tier 3 for DPS, they'd be like way above, even more above than they already are. I don't know if you
Yes, that's what
like
I
if you
was
give.
thinking.
Just imagine like say the tier to 3 rogue legs or helmet for fucking warriors. So the helmet is like 3 crit at like 40, 45 attack power and 1 hit.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know.
I did post about like a whirlwind set for warriors, where the set pieces were entirely focused on cleave. So like one of them would increase how many targets you can cleave by one of them increases the amount of targets hit by whirlwind, and one of them gives your whirlwind extra charges. Um,
Sounds
I
interesting
just came
actually.
I just came up with that today on just like on the fly, while talking about something, and you know, I think there are so many options for the tier pieces. Uh, I think any person could make up a tier set,
Yeah.
but whether it's actually balanced and whether they have the manpower to code it and implement it, I don't know. I don't
But
know.
they have done other custom tier sets, so I think it's not like undoable.
Mm, you mean the one on the crafted item that they made?
Yeah, like the elemental pieces or whatever they're
I'm
called.
really not a big fan of that. It's like a lot of 1% stats. I'm really not a big fan. I know it was meant to be like multiple classes can use it, but
I don't
I'm
like the
still
way
in
it's
this thing.
written personally. Like you have 3 different sections for 2Ps, you have 3 different sections for 3Ps, and you have like 3 different sections for 4Ps. I just like combine it, make it like easier to read.
Also, that's like an easier thing to code in than something that interacts with player abilities, right?
Yeah, but I don't think it's out of the picture. Like coding in custom abilities. I don't. I mean, it could probably result to a lot of bugs the way the code is like spaghettified, right? But
Mm-hmm.
well, a rogue tank set could be interesting to see.
What would you add to it?
I don't know. Maybe making like make Feint do something special instead of dropping threat with this tier set, or make like say like every time you have like a set bonus that makes it so every time you crit, you proc your poison proc from your say offhand.
Hmm. Poisons are something I would like to see more use of in next, because as it is, I know that we talked about how deadly poison is very similar to consecrated sharpening stone, but at the end of the day, consecrated sharpening stone is a guarantee, whereas deadly poison is not. So like
Yeah,
I can have 5 stacks of deadly poison in a minute or in 20 seconds.
I'd love to see an ability. I forgot the name from TBC, but it was like an ability that like
Shiv?
Shiv guarantees a poison proc from your offhand, and making poison stack with Wind Fury on your set. I'd love that.
Oh, that would be. Can you imagine how that would work? Because that would mean, huh? I actually can't imagine how that would work because that would probably mean that like weapon oil also stacks. And if weapon oil stacked with Wind Fury, that would be bonkers for warriors. That would be a free 2% crit.
Doesn't necessarily have to be. Just make poison stack with Wind Fury. Not sharpening stones in particular. This way you could enable a bit more tryhard min-maxy playstyle of Rogue with Shiv, if you add Shiv, for example. So if you have 2 offense, let's just say you have 2 offense, you use one offhand, you have deadly poison on it, you use Shiv 5 times, and then you swap to another offhand with a context stone. And you can like
Mm.
weave in, twist it
Mhm.
out.
Interesting.
And then at the same time you have like, I don't know, instant poison on your main hand, and you can add mutilate for assassination rogues, even though they've said no, but you can only hope.
Yeah, they really want to be unique. Even if they like add steady shot and rename it to true shot, they still want to be unique. And it's
But I think adding
yeah.
Shiv and Envenom would be like a really good
Mhm.
place to start, I think. Mutilate, you don't really need that, I feel like. But Shiv is something I'd love to see. It will help for tank threat as a rogue, it will help for DPS, more skill expression. It's not broken, I don't think it's too hard to code.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's the I think I mention this every time I make a suggestion, but this is me being clueless bystander and me just armchair and analyzing this whole thing. But to me, suggestions that take the least amount of work to implement a big change are the best. So something like make the stack to 20. Probably a very simple change in the database. You probably just increase how many, you know, stacks this item can hold.
Or
It's
increase the
probably not
spawn
hard.
rates of the owl beast as well. There's so many people
Or that,
farming tea.
or make it so that the quest item that the Alkins drop is, party wide. So you can invite people around you to kill it together.
And then you can get it in the raid, so I don't have to leave raid every time I get invited, and I'm like farming
Yeah.
tea.
So yeah. So there are so many methods
Oh,
that
but
they
just
can do.
just increase the spawn rate. If you have 10 people farming, you finish one tea run in like 30 minutes. It's fucking awful.
Or you go all the way south only to see 4 people there as well.
Yeah. If
No,
you
I,
increase the
I
spawn rates, that's
definitely
like unreasonable.
I definitely feel like a simple solution. Even some people don't like these solutions, but I personally, by my own experience, I have no issues with these band-aid solutions, temporary solutions. Um, For instance, a temporary solution was that in Blackwing Lair, the orc warlocks can no longer cast the portal that summons the demon because it was broken, and they just removed that entire gimmick, and not one person are missing those. Not one person misses those things.
Please do the same for the Madness Imps, bro, and ZG. Like nobody is gonna miss that as well, and it just makes it easier because the way you're doing the Madness Imps already is to avoid the portals. You kill them in specific spots so the portals spawn and you don't aggro them. Just remove the
You
portal
know,
mechanic.
they actually fixed that. I know because I run ZG every Monday. I raid lead it, and I've been doing ZG every week because I'm trying to get the ZG trinket for our IEA Rogue Maltazar, and some other people also come, and I also decide to come on my Rogue to get it for myself as well, and it's been it's been fun killing those imps, and every week you have like a new warlock. I tell him to banish, I tell him to enslave demon. It's fun, to me. Madness is one of the more fun parts of ZG, not only because I rarely do it, but also because it feels like um it's not like every other trash pack that's just brain dead, just kill X, kill Skull. You actually have to think about, stop DPS, walk away, walk in, watch your health bar. I know people dislike Madness, but I've grown quite fond of it.
At least it's
Not to
not like
mention the
in
rotating
Classic.
bosses are cool.
Yeah, the rotating bosses are cool. I guess at least the imps aren't the same as they are in Classic. In Classic, like the portals are so fucking annoying. They're not that annoying here, at least.
No, they're fine, honestly. I like Madness. If anything that I dislike in raids, it is the um the warlocks in Blackwing Lair that continuously drop Rain of Fire
Oh
without
yeah,
a cooldown.
yeah, that one sucks to be honest.
I've I've been considering watching footage of Blackwing Lair runs being speedrun on Classic just to find out if they are meant to cast it that often. Because very, very often on Turtle, I just end up standing still during the pool a good 20 yards away from the Warlocks because I just see all the melee dropping to 10% HP, and I don't want to risk losing my consumables. I would rather wait 5 seconds to see it get in position and then just start DPSing.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not fun to not be pressing buttons, right? So having to just look while combat is happening is not fun.
I think it's safe to say if Balakia hasn't made a book report on the Warlocks, they probably acting Bliss-like.
Or he himself wasn't annoyed enough by them.
I mean, he plays Warrior, so he should be annoyed, I feel like. I don't know, I think we've talked about every topic to the extent we, like, pretty much
Yeah, I
had
don't
to.
know about you. I like this. It's kind of relaxing just talking about random stuff, not having a strict topic that we have to be very, you know, on the topic about.
Yeah.
All right. I see most people have left the stream by now. If you're still watching, thanks for watching.
Yeah, it's been pretty cozy. We'll definitely, instead of like trying to aim for big topics every week, we're every now and then just gonna have like some chill ones like this one.
I see Samara was listening in the whole time.
Oh no, that's only.
That's thought it was Samara.
I thought it was Malrock.
Oh well.
I thought it was Malrock until only like he told me in Twitch chat last stream to like check Discord, and it was like only who pinged me. I was like, wait.
I see.
But yeah, it's been chill. I think this pretty much sums it up.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you next week or the week
See ya.
after. I'm not sure.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.